Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Podcast Room 303. Introducing one co-host with more nuggets than Chick-fil-A, Nick Morahan. Executive producer until we find someone better, Eric Washington. Nobody really knows what he does around here, Nevada Putnam. And now, the single greatest thing to happen to hosting in history, Jermaine Antonio Colon Mendez. On with the show.
Welcome into Podcast Room 303. I'm your host, Jermaine Colon Mendez. This is my co-host, Nicholas Morahan. And as always, we have with us the EP. Special guest, Nevada Putnam, even under the weather, is joining us. This is episode 219. We'll be getting into NBA Southwest Futures, NHL Central Futures, and the Blind Five. Without further ado, how are you doing this evening, Eric?
Doing great, bro. You know, teams are undefeated. Life is good. You know, I'm a little sad Nevada set the bar so high now. I can't use being sick as an excuse, but it's all right.
And how are you doing this evening, Nevada?
Good. The meds kicked in, so we're feeling okay.
He actually sounds a lot better. That's so funny. And how are you doing, fuckface?
Still being a fuckface.
That's Mr. Fuckface to you.
That's Dr. Fuckface DDS to you.
TDS Esquire.
DDS Esquire.
I guess.
It is time for celebration, boys. The top of the ninth inning. The Los Angeles Dodgers have a 10-2 lead over the Colorado Rockies. Everybody say it with me. Suck my dick, Dick.
For those of you who don't know, Dick Monfort is his name, the owner of the Colorado Rockies. And one of Nick's mentors, idols, and just all-around good friend. And he just wants him to wrap his lips around his phallic object between his legs.
Throbbing penis. Dick. Sell the team, you cattle bum.
Mind you, this is the same owner who said the Rockies this year would be a 500 team.
They're going to be a contender this year. Well, you can contend with these nuts, Dick.
Yeah.
And your 100 losses, you bum. That loud noise in your ear or on your radio was courtesy of Jermaine clattering his microphone all over his room. So we're lost as a show right now.
Yeah, it's not Eric's headset rubbing against his shirt. This time it was my microphone being kicked into oblivion because I got caught on the cord with my legs crossed. Eric, go ahead, set up the blind five.
Eric, what's that before we start blind five? What's that little jewelry you got around your neck?
My Jesus piece?
What's that Jesus piece you got around your neck?
It's my Jesus piece, dude.
That real?
Yeah, it's real.
24 karat?
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Praise be, brother.
Yeah. I started wearing it, when the Eagles started winning, so can't take it off.
What chick are you trying to bang with that?
Anyway, so we're gonna move into
his name is Felix.
That's a very nice name. He fixes
home.
stuff, I hear.
All right, we're moving.
That's why he's got the mustache. He's handing out them rides.
Yeah, look at that, dude. You got the Jesus peach. You got the mustache. Hola, hey.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to get in touch with my inner culture, bro. You know what I'm saying?
He's letting out his latent he's letting out his latent homosexuality, dude.
Yeah, it's just oozing out of me right now, dude. Like
Freddie,
a little bit of pre-cum, you know what I'm saying?
It's very Freddie Mercury of you, Eric.
Yeah, appreciate it. The stash. I do got some big ass teeth. Anyway,
I'll say Sarah Jessica Parker.
All right.
My guy saw Travis Kelce. He was just like, I need to get me one of them, dude.
I honestly thought about that. I was honestly talking about it to myself in the mirror today when I was showering. I was like, maybe I should try to make like a Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift mustache joke. But let's be real. I'm 8 inches too short, $130 million too short in the bank, and I don't play for the Kansas City.
Wait, Eric, who has a 10-inch penis?
What?
What do you mean 8 inches too short?
I'm talking about my height, brother. Talking about my height.
Here's what you should do. You should put on your Jason Kelsey jersey on Halloween and buy a Taylor Swift cutout and walk around like that as your Halloween costume.
Or just a blow-up doll and then tape her face to it. At least I get double use out of it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we're going to move into the blind five here. For the first option for the blind five, I'm going to go with Ford versus Ferrari.
The driving movies.
Chris Hemsworth movies.
What?
Not even in fucking Ford versus Ferrari.
Obviously, it's Marvel movies. Driving movies. Floyd. Jeez. That movie that you named. That's a good movie, but I'd say
I like opening with 4 on the first one.
so. Ricky Bobby's going to be on this list. Days of Thunder,
Gone in 60 Seconds.
Gone in 60 Seconds. Fast probably is going to be on here.
Tokyo Drift. That's
I
my favorite one.
I would say 3, but I'm not necessarily gonna.
All right, I like that movie, so we'll go 3.
Okay.
This could also be Christian Bale movies, and if that's true, then we should have put this at 5.
He's gonna throw Speed Racer at you.
No, I'm not. Next, I'm going to go with Baby Driver.
That movie's all right.
5.
5.
Yeah.
Now, if you would have put Drive with Ryan Gosling,
I was about to say.
I was like, that handsome motherfucker just out there swerving on that bitches. Skirt, skirt.
All right. So next is going to be Gone in 60 Seconds.
1. Hold on. Maybe not 1. 2?
I'll say 2.
2. I'm good with 2.
I like to leave us room to make a mistake at 1.
Yeah. Plus, Gone in 60 Seconds, like it's fire, but it's not 1.
Yeah, but we grew up with it, so
That's why I went 1. I just immediately was like, "What? That was the greatest thing I've ever fucking seen." Ah!
Julie has sex with him in the car. She's so hot.
All right. So we have 3 down. Last 2, I'm going to go with The Fast and the Furious, the original.
I'm good with 4. I'm good with 4.
Yeah. Yeah, the original is so corny if you watch it now.
Tokyo Drift is my favorite one.
And lastly, but not least,
Bobby Lashley?
Drive.
Oh, hell yeah. Number 1. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's a fire. We keep killing this game.
Let's go. These executive producers, bunch of bums. No wonder they're 3-3 combined in real life football.
Yeah, we are 3-3.
Yeah.
We're doing it, Eric.
Hey, Nevada, that's 500. You're doing pretty good.
We're doing pretty good. That'll get you the Hall of Fame in baseball. Easy.
That will. Easy.
We're crushing it, Eric.
Do you see how angry Eric is that you just called him 3-3?
I'm not angry at all.
His whole personality is being 3-0 and an Eagles fan.
Yeah, I mean, he could get fucked. He said the Longhorns were 3-0 and they're 4-0. So
What a bum, dude.
Yeah. Sorry, I made a mistake.
What a
Do you
dork.
watch football?
No,
What
apparently
a
I
dork.
Now he's upset.
I'm not upset at all, dude.
Dude, did you see that look?
I'm just saying, quote unquote, let's do this one quickly, and then you fuckers are going to tangent.
Whoa. Eric.
We're not even at 10 minutes yet. The time is at the top, big fella. You can see it.
Eric.
His fingers just.
You got some piano playing Vienna sausages for hands.
No, I can't play the piano because my fingers don't stretch that far.
Can't throw a split finger either, dork.
Never did.
What? That's the mark of being cool. Can you throw a split finger?
Pretty cool.
How many people can throw a split finger in the MLB?
Oh, probably a bunch.
All of them? What's the percentage?
20.
It doesn't matter what your Rudy Poo candy has.
Six.
Let's move into the NHL Central Futures.
26%.
26%. Better than Kyle Schwarber's batting.
Dude. Do you know that there has never been a hitter like Kyle Schwarber in MLB history?
Yes, I believe it, dude. Hey, first of all, I got nothing but love for Kyle Schwarber. That man came back and sacrificed his whole defensive career to give the Cubs a World Series. So I appreciate it. Eric?
What, I got it up for you guys. Let's go.
Oh, so I have to drive?
Yeah. That's what you do. You're the host, right?
No, you always...
See,
this,
dude. Now
this guy.
See, now he's upset.
Now he's upset. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're doing the NHL Central. And so apparently since Eric has read all the odds for every other future we've done this entire year, I'll go ahead and take over right now. But he's not upset. He's not upset. This division consists of the Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Stars, Minnesota Wild, Winnipeg Jets, Nashville Predators, St. Louis Blues, Chicago Blackhawks, and Arizona Coyotes. Last year's order was Avs, Stars, Wild, Jets, Preds, Blues, Yotes, Hawks. We'll go ahead and kick it off with the division winner, Colorado Avalanche, who have finals odds of plus 1,000. Sorry, that's to win, correct, Eric?
That's to win the Stanley Cup.
Okay. The way I read it, I was like, is that just to make it? Because that's not bad at all. Division odds, plus 150. To make the playoffs, yes. Minus 1,000, no. Plus 600. Over-under points, 106.5. We'll turn it over to you, Nevada.
Alrighty. So they added Jonathan Drouin, Ryan Johansson, Miles Wood, and Ross Colton to their roster. Some of the notable departures are JT Compher, who's now dead, Lars Eller, Evan Rodriguez, Alex Newhook got traded, Matt Nieto, Eric Johnson, who's in Buffalo, and Jonas Johansson. They also are not going to have their captain again for the year. Landeskog is going to be out till at least the playoffs. There's a small chance he could play in the playoffs, but probably not the best. He had the same procedure. Was it Lonzo, Jermaine?
Yeah, Lonzo Ball. Yep.
Yeah. So it's pretty nasty as far as recovery goes and getting back to it. So they're going to be without him. So pretty much status quo as far as the roster goes. They still got the same goalies. Defense is pretty much identical to what it was last year, the last couple of years, really, with the exception of Eric Johnson. And then this offseason, they really did a good job getting more depth. Ryan Johansson's going to be your second-line center. Miles Wood and Ross Colton bring a fair amount of grit to the game, but still some skill. And then Jonathan Drouin was Nathan McKinnon's teammate in Halifax in the juniors, and they're hoping to rekindle some of that magic because he was very good. So if he can do that, might be looking at a 78 point kind of guy. So I don't have any issues with the Avs. I think they got better. They kind of got back to that depth and grit that they were missing from last year a bit.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The Colorado Avalanche have a fantastic defense, and they should be a regular season juggernaut. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Elver points, yes, to make the playoffs. I actually will not take them to win the division, though.
Interesting. Yeah, I think what a lot of people are looking at is Jonathan Drouin was a guy that I know Nevada and I we've talked about Jonathan Drouin for a very long time, and he's someone that either we wanted to trade for or we wanted to get him on the Avs because he's an amazing player. And right, we talk about he was drafted, he was a third overall pick in 2013, really hasn't found his mojo in the NHL, but like Nevada said, he did play with McKinnon in juniors, and hopefully that's the connection that works. I mean, the Avs added depth back. My only issue with this team right now is we've seen this before. Can those depth guys score? The Avs have had a very bad problem with those depth guys going absent. They can score, but they haven't been able to. And health, right? It's always the Avs with health. That being said, I'll take the Avs to win the division. I'll take, obviously, them to make the playoffs. I'll take the over 106.5, but I am not taking them to win the Stanley Cup.
The surgery that Nevada was referring to is a cartilage transplant surgery. It's usually career-ending. So we'll see. We have 2 players dealing with it. One ironically on some of the hosts for this show's teams, Chicago Bulls and Colorado Avalanche, respectively. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Landeskog as well as Lonzo Ball.
Really quickly, Nevada, can I get your picks for the Avs?
I do not have them winning the division. Let's see, that'd be 53. I will go under on the points.
Okay. Do you have them in the playoffs?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, perfect.
It's 4 per division, correct?
Yes.
3.
Okay.
It's 3 and 3, and then the
and
2
then
highest
wild card.
remaining points. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So each,
All right, cool.
each division gets 3.
It just happened to break out 3 and 3 last year.
So you mean 4 and 4?
4 and 4. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The very next team that finished second place last year was the Dallas Stars. Finals odds plus 1,400 to win the division plus 170, make the playoffs minus 750, miss the playoffs plus 500. Over under is set at 105.5. Over to you, Nevada.
All righty. Dallas Stars added Matt Duchene, Craig Smith, the winger, Sam Steele, a winger, and Gavin, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, defenseman. They lost Max Domi, who was a gritty guy.
Bayreuther.
Sure, why not? Luke Glendening, who was a solid center, and Colin Miller on the defense. I really like the Dallas Stars. They get better with Duchene, who always plays well. Just a couple of years ago, he had 86 points, and he's 32 years old. So he's still producing at a high rate. He's not going to get as many minutes, but he's still going to be a very good contributor. The biggest thing that Dallas has going for him is their core. They have one of the best defensemen in Miro Heiskanen. They have Jason Robertson, who was on track for, I want to say it was like 40 or 50 goals and 100 points. Rupe Hens has really developed last year. And then it all comes down to their goalie, Jake Ottinger, the Otter. I don't see any signs of them slowing down. They still got Pavelski. So I really like the Stars here. I have them winning the division over on points. I don't know about Cup, but I think they'll win the division for sure.
Yeah, I think the core of Dallas's roster is the same. I do agree. Duchene is a big addition for this team. I think that a lot of the players on their team either had breakout years or they had major rebound seasons. I don't think Ottinger is going to be as good as he was last year. I think their defense is going to let him down, and I don't think they're going to get that same performance out of the players that they did last year. Now they did have 108 points last year. I just don't think they're going to be as good as Nevada says. I'll take them to make the playoffs, but I'll go under on 105.5 for their point totals.
Yeah, so I'll take the under on the point totals. I'll take yes to make the playoffs, and I do not have them winning the division. Sorry, I was waiting on Eric for some reason. My man, I forgot he's mute right now. Very next team on this list is the third place finishing in 2022 Minnesota Wild. Finals odds plus 3,000 to win the division is plus 650 to make the playoffs minus 200 to miss the playoffs plus 160. Over under on points is set at 95.5. Over to you, Nevada.
So Minnesota added Pat Maroon, affectionately known as Fat Pat.
The dude just collects Stanley Cups, by the way.
He does. They lost a fair amount of offense from quote-unquote depth guys, but they also lost Matt Dumba, who was kind of a frustrating defenseman. Sometimes he'd be good, sometimes he'd disappear. And then John Klingberg, who's only an offensive defenseman. He can't defend worth dick. So they do lose some size and grit. They're really going to try to bank on the younger guys coming up. Backfilling on the defensive side with Brock Faber, who I believe would be in his second year, or at least first full year. Marco Rossi, hoping to have him take another step. Matthew Boldy to continue to perform well. And then the superstar, Kirill Kaprizov, who's done nothing but score since he got here in the league. I don't know about Minnesota. I'll be interested to see what they do with their goalie situation, because they still got that really good goalie in Jesper Wallstedt, who's still in the minors, but he's supposed to be the future. May see some playing time this year. Otherwise, what was the odds for points in playoffs?
95.5 over under, and to miss the playoffs is plus 160. To make is minus 200.
I will say they missed the playoffs. 96. I will say, it's tight. Under 96 points.
No doubt. I have Minnesota going over. I'll take them yes to make the playoffs and yes to win the division.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with the Wild is, like Nevada said, when Kaprizov is not on the ice, the Wild don't score, and relying on Philip Gustafsson is not the way to go for the Wild. 95.5, I think, is a fantastic line for a team that won, for a team that had 103 points last year and 11 overtime losses. I think it's a great line. I think that Minnesota still has enough class to make the playoffs. Minus 200. I think you see it right there. Minus 200. Man, that's a great. I am going to take over 95.5 though. And obviously, they're not winning the Stanley Cup or the division.
They are winning the division.
Okay.
Very next team on this list is the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets finished fourth last year. To win the Stanley Cup is plus 5,000. To win the division is plus 900. To make the playoffs is minus 140. To miss the playoffs is plus 110. And the over-under is set for 91.5. Over to you, Nevada.
Alrighty, so Winnipeg added winger Alex Iafallo, Gabe Vilardi, and one of Vegas's goalies, Laurent Brossoit. They did have a couple of big departures, including Pierre-Luc Dubois, who moved over to LA. Blake Wheeler's no longer there. Sam Gagner's gone. This is a team that I think we kind of saw it last year, really struggled, and they've lost big offensive pieces in Dubois and Wheeler. And I think their goaltender. Why am I drawing a blank? Connor
Hellebuck.
I expect him to be traded before the trade deadline to a team that's, going to be competing for the playoffs. I don't have high hopes for Winnipeg. I think they definitely got worse. Kind of a quasi rebuild, but I don't have them. I don't have them win the division. I don't have them in the playoffs, and I think I'll have them under on the points, especially once they get rid of Hellebuck.
Yeah, Winnipeg is doing a teardown while trying to compete at the same time, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Give me the under points. No to make the playoffs at plus money is fantastic, and obviously I don't have them winning the division or the Stanley Cup if they're going that route. Winnipeg was the team that I highlighted last year as someone that I think could have made the playoffs. They ended up playing very, very well, but this year I'm out on Winnipeg.
I'm going to disagree with both of you. I think they came out on top in the Dubois trade. I think Hellebuck stays. I think he plays great goaltender. I think they have a lot of quality players. Maybe we're looking at like a Seattle Kraken from last year, like a lot of guys that can score 20 goals. But as I say that, I think they go over on points. I think they miss the playoffs. And so I think they have over 91 points, but they miss the playoffs. And obviously they don't win the division and they don't win. By the way, I only think 3 teams from this division go to the playoffs.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Pacific Division stacked. Like, it is. That's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. And obviously, we'll cover that when we get to that division. But it sounds to be like we're all in agreement with Winnipeg not making the playoffs. I think Nick has them. You said under points, correct? Or over?
I said over points, but they're not making the playoffs.
All right. On to the next team. We have the 5th place finishing last year, Nashville Predators. They have the plus 7,500 finals odds, plus 1,800 to win the division, plus 160 to make the playoffs, minus 200 to miss the playoffs, and over under at 86.5. They lost their head coach this offseason, correct?
They did.
Okay. And St. Louis Blues also lost their head coach, but that was for something else, correct? Like he stepped away like a week ago, or is that a different team that I'm confusing?
No, that's Columbus.
Columbus Blue Jackets. God, those are the same team to me. It's like Emilio Estevez and Michael J. Fox. It's the same person. over to you, Nevada.
Alrighty. So Nashville, they signed Ryan O'Reilly, Gustav Nyquist, Denis Goryanov, Luke Shin, and not players, but they got a new GM and Barry Trotz, the longtime head coach. And their new head coach is Andrew Brunette, who famously led the Panthers to the President's Trophy a couple years ago and then was the offensive guru for the Devils last year. Players who are on the outs with Nashville, obviously Matt Duchene, now that he's in Dallas. Ryan Johansson moved on to Colorado, Cal Foote, and then obviously their GM and head coach. I like Nashville. I think they're going to be a good competing team. They still have Roman Josi, who's a perennial Norris candidate for best defenseman, and they have a number 1 goalie in UC Saros. So they aren't rebuilding; they just retooled with basically different leadership. So I think they're going to be an interesting team, especially with Andrew Brunette leading the charge. It'll be interesting to see what kind of system they start running and how that all molds together. But kind of like what we mentioned earlier, I don't have Nashville in the playoffs. What's the over-under on points?
86.5.
I'll take the over on points in large part due to UC Saros. So yeah, no on playoffs and over on points.
Yeah, I think Nashville is going to be my 24-25 darlings, right? I don't think Barry Trotz has put his stamp on this team yet. I like Saros. I like Yossi. I like O'Reilly. I like Nyquist. I like Shen. All the guys that they brought in, I like. Behind those 5 players I named, it might as well be Nevada and I suiting up to get out there and skate. I don't skate very well. Barry Trotz is a very, very interesting GM. If he can take his time in the NHL as a coach, in which how many years did he coach? Basically, he has made
20 or 30 years.
Yeah, he has made 14 Stanley Cup playoffs or 14 playoff appearances and has won a Stanley Cup. He has coached in over 1,800 games and he's won 900 of them, and only lost 670 of them. I mean, he is a very, very good coach. Will he be a good GM? I don't know, but he's at least hired another very, very good head coach. I want Nashville over points. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think Nashville this year gets in a wild card race that shows some of their younger guys that they can compete in the NHL, and look out for Nashville to be a threat in 24-25 with the amount of draft picks and expertise that they have on that team.
I have no fucking clue where the goal scoring is coming from on this team. So for them to be competitive, it's going to take something special, I think.
A miracle.
The points are, I think it's set perfectly. 86.5 is, I mean, even a bad team can get 90 points. So give me the over on points. I'm going to take no to make the playoffs. And I would not be surprised if they end up with some wild differential like minus 40. So obviously, since I don't have to make the playoffs, division winner Stanley Cup, that without being said. But we'll move on to the 6th place team, the St. Louis Blues, plus 7,500 as well to make the finals, or sorry, to win the Stanley Cup, plus 1,800 to win the division, plus 160 to make the playoffs, minus 200 to miss the playoffs, also at 86.5. So it's the same. St. Louis Blues just have the same odds as for everything across the board. Go ahead, Devin.
Yep. So St. Louis added center Kevin Hayes from Philadelphia. He's a very good center. They also added Oscar Sundquist, who comes over from Minnesota. As far as people who left, they didn't lose really a ton of depth or anything. I guess maybe Tyler Pitlick at a center position, but he wasn't certainly wasn't a number 1, really wasn't a number 2. So they didn't lose a lot. They don't have Vladimir Tarasenko this year because he got traded to the Rangers at the trade deadline. So that is something to consider.
Or O'Reilly.
But they did get Kasperi Kapanen from waivers and Jacob Vrana from the Red Wings. Both of those guys have shown promise here and there. But we'll see if they can put it together for a full year. Obviously, the water bottle throwing mastermind of Jordan Binnington is really what the St. Louis season hinges on.
Fucking baby.
Yeah, so they were really in contention for the playoffs pretty much the entire year until they saw they had losing streaks towards the end of the year where they went 3-9-2, which pretty much just drug them down to the bottom of the standings. They also had a pretty slow start to the beginning of the year, so they weren't getting the points they needed to. And then when it came towards the end of the year, they just couldn't quite pull it together. So I have St. Louis getting in at the 3 spot in the division. And what was the points on that one?
86.5.
Okay, well, yeah, that's over. So I will go yes for playoffs and over for points.
Yeah, I think Nevada and I are hammering are taking both sides. He's taking the flip side of the Blues that says, hey, Jordan Binnington does figure it out, and the Blues are able to effectively replace O'Reilly and Tarasenko, right? And I think those are guys that pulled them out of that early slump, and that's why you saw them go into that late season slump. Jermaine's question for the Predators applies to the Blues. Who's going to score? Who's going to score on this team? I think the Blues are in the worst position of anybody in the Central right now. They are trying to undergo a rebuild with very, very expensive players and almost no cap space or draft capital to get it done. I think Jordan Binnington, when he starts to lose some games, loses his mental edge and becomes a friggin' baby. They signed PK Subban's brother, right? And he's a serviceable backup goalie.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a question mark.
Yeah, that was a question mark.
I can look that up real quick.
Malcolm Subban or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's like a 2-3 kind of goalie.
Yeah, I mean they also have a guy named Joel Hofer who has a total of 8 games of NHL experience. We've seen teams like this, right? Whether you think the Blues can score or they have great offense or plenty of offensive talent, I don't think they have defense or goaltending to even compete at all. I'm going to take them to miss the playoffs. I'm going to take under 86.5. And if it weren't for the Arizona Coyotes, I would pick the Blues to finish last in the Central.
You can go to 10 different hockey sports reporters, and you might get 5 thinking the Blues can make the playoffs this year and 5 thinking that they can't. This is really just how you feel about this team. There's no consensus. It's either you're on one side or you're not. There is no in between. I am taking Nick's side on this team. I am out. I don't like the moves they had. I don't like the direction they're trending. They're trying to rebuild, but they're not. So I'll take the under points, no to make the playoffs, and obviously no for everything else across the board. And we'll go ahead and move in. Anything else in the St. Louis Blues? No. We'll go ahead and move into the Chicago Blackhawks, who finished 8th last year in this division. They're plus 20,000 to win the Stanley Cup. It's pretty on brand. Plus 13,000 to win the division. Plus 800 to make the playoffs. Minus 1,400 to miss the playoffs. 71.5 points. Oh me, oh my, fuck me. On to you, Nevada.
Well, Eric, I think you can guess by those odds where everybody's going to land on this one. That being said, the biggest story out of Chicago, obviously, is Connor Bedard, who's, I keep telling Jermaine, is going to be the biggest bust ever.
Hurtful.
But he is a beast. He's even got the body ready to play right now. So it'll be entertaining to see that. They also added Taylor Hall, who's been bouncing around the league. Former, I think he was number 2 overall pick. Nick Foligno, Corey Perry, the worst player in the league.
Fuck Corey Perry.
Total asshole. And Ryan Donato. As far as people that have left.
Taylor Hall was a first overall.
First? Okay. As far as players that have left, Jonathan Taves, I guess he's technically left. He's still not signed, but he's not on the team right now. And backup goalie Alex Stalock. Not that means anything. Their goaltending is not good anyway. So as far as the team itself goes, yeah, this is going to be kind of a rough year. They're going to definitely have good moments, but they got so many weaknesses, especially on the defense and goaltending. Their defense might be one of the worst in the league, top to bottom, and then their goaltending does nothing for you. That being said, the the hype train that is Connor Bedard, he should be the real deal. As far as prop bets, I think I have him over 30 goals this year, and probably right around 70 points. So as far as their point total, 71.5. Yeah, I'll go over because I think they're going to get into some high scoring matches, but not by much. I don't see them winning 40 games.
Oh yeah, they might not even win 30 games unless Connor Bedard is just an absolutely Herculean, player this year. And if that happens, Nevada's, I think, over 70 gets shattered. He's probably closer to 90. So I don't think they win 30 games this year. They odds-on favorite for worst goal differential if the Anaheim Ducks didn't exist. Obviously, I'll take. What can I put?
I think
my
it's going to
money
be
where my
interesting to
mouth is?
see how teams play Bedard, because there is a lot of, I don't want to say angst, but a lot of kind of I'll show you rookie, especially when it comes to guys like Bedard, where they come into the league and they're touted as this great, wonderful, marvelous person or player.
Mm-hmm.
And people in the league are like, all right, we'll see how that's going to play out. And then they're going to play him hard and they're going to play him tough. But like I said, that guy he is built. He is already filled out as far as his frame. He might get a little bit bigger, but I don't know if that's going to do any good for him. But I don't think his body is going to be an issue, regardless of how teams play him.
So
I'm going. Oh, sorry, Nick. Let me just get this last. I was struggling with my decision. I'm going to go over on the point total. I think he is good enough to make a 15-point swing on a team such as the Blackhawks, even though the Blackhawks did get worse. But I think he's that good to make that kind of a swing. And if they almost had 60 points last year, I'll take the over 71.5, and I'll take that shot at that.
So we can probably agree that the three prospects in the last, we'll say, 2 decades that have changed a franchise were who?
Crosby, Kane, and
okay, hold on. Name them off one by one. Crosby. Okay. Crosby came in the league 2004-2005 season. The Pittsburgh Penguins improved by 0 points, right? However, Crosby, 39 goals, 63 assists, 102 points. All right, name the next one.
Ovechkin.
Okay. Alexander Ovechkin came in the league in 2005-2006 as well. The Capitals the year before, they improved 11 points. Ovechkin had 52 goals, 54 assists, 106 points. Okay, give me the third one.
I was going to say Patrick Kane, but I guess it would be Connor McDavid, right?
Connor McDavid, right? The last can't miss prospect, right? That you would say. Connor McDavid. I already moved on. Let's see. McDavid. Okay, yeah. The Oilers improved by 8 points. McDavid, in a shortened season, he only played 45 games, 16 goals, 32 assists. If you move that over 82 games, that's somewhere in the region of 30 goals, 60 assists, and over 100 points. However, something to keep note. So that's my thought. These guys brought in Connor Bedard, obviously an amazing player. I agree with Nevada. I think he gets over 100 points. Well, I agree with Nevada in saying that he's going to be very good. He will get over 100 points this year. That's not something I think is I think that might be a lock. One thing to look at though is I don't think the Blackhawks will be better. I want to take the under on 71.5. They're not going to make the playoffs. One thing to look at though is Crosby came to the league 05-06. Didn't do well with the Penguins, 58 points. The next year, the Penguins had 105 points. Took Ovechkin a little bit longer, right? And by a little bit longer, I mean 2 seasons. Came to the league 05-06. By 07-08, The Capitals had 94 points. The Oilers, the first full season that McDavid played, the Oilers had 103 points. This turnaround will be quick. It will be fast. And the Blackhawks will be very, very good in the Central in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I think you swayed me. Eric, I'm gonna switch mine to under on the points for the Blackhawks. I mean, if those guys didn't sway it, I thought 12 points was nothing, but apparently it's something on that. So I'll go ahead and go with my gut and say under.
Eric also said Austin Matthews. Let's just for sake look up Austin Matthews. So he came in the league 16-17. He had in 82 games, he had 40 goals, 29 assists. That's 69 points. And the the 2016-2017 Maple Leafs, who I think were loaded, they had 95 points.
Okay. So the last team in this division, Arizona Coyotes, finished 7th last year, 25,000 to win the Stanley Cup, 20,000 to win the division, plus 750 to make the playoffs, minus 1,200 to miss the playoffs, and 74.5 points. I'll just get out in front of this here. I hated their offseason. They still don't have a stadium. Give me the under. No to make the playoffs. What an absolute joke of a franchise. Go ahead, Nevada.
You said the points was 74.5?
74.5, correct, yeah.
Okay. So as far as Arizona is concerned, they have added Logan Cooley, who will be technically a rookie this year, Jason Zucker, winger, Alex Kerfoot, winger, Nick Bustad, center, Matt Dumba, who comes over from Minnesota, Sean Dursey, who comes over from the Kings, Troy Stetcher, defense, and Travis Dermott, also defense. As far as people they lose, really the only one of note is Christian Fisher, a winger. He was a solid depth piece. Other than that, the only other notable names would be probably Zach Cassian, who's old as shit, and Patrick Nemeth, who's meh for defense.
Who was meh in his prime.
Yeah. Obviously, Arizona, I don't have them playoffs. I will 74. I think they will be over on points. Logan Cooley might. I don't have the odds in front of me, but he might be a good bet for the Calder Trophy, the Rookie of the Year. Obviously, Bedard's more than likely the favorite, but depending on what Logan Cooley's at, that could be a very good value bet. The defense is okay. I think the best defenseman they're going to have is Sean Dursey. He's a solid defenseman. And really it comes down to their goalie play. As long as they keep their goalies. The big one is Carl Vejmelka. He's a really good goalie. He's just undervalued. He's got a super good contract. So they very well could end up trading him to some sort of contender, kind of like what Hellebuck would do, just because he is very attractive to other teams. But he keeps them in a lot of games. Their offense, I think, is better, especially with Logan Cooley. He's already had a couple of insane goals in the preseason just this past couple of weeks. So I think Arizona is definitely a team on the upswing. Their draft was kind of odd. I think we talked about that prior. Don't know, some of the picks they made seemed kind of like a reach, but those guys are still a couple years away, so to be determined. But I definitely think Arizona's on the upswing, and Logan Cooley is going to be fun to watch along with Bedard in Chicago.
Yeah, I think the Coyotes are a team that is in need of what's happening right now. They are doing a complete house remodel where they strip out everything in the house because everything is broken, and you slowly build it up,
including the stadium.
Right. And if you're looking, if you have the time and the money and the patience to completely rebuild your house, sticking with the metaphor, it will pay off for you in the end, because it has not paid off for the Phoenix Coyotes for the Arizona Coyotes. 2014, 2015 was the first time they started calling themselves the Arizona Coyotes. I'm going to read off their win percentage or their points percentage each year. Are you guys ready?
Okay.
2014, starting in 2014, 2015, 34%, 47%, 42%, 42%, 52%, 52%, 48%, 34%, 42%. This has been a roller coaster of a Coyotes team that I don't know what we're going to get from them. And I still think, to stick with the metaphor, the house is nowhere near built yet because you don't even have a backyard yet. You don't even have somewhere you can send the kids out to play yet. 70 points last year. I think they improve. Whether it's to 75 points, I don't know.
2 games.
That's 2 games, and they had 14 overtime losses last year. I'll take the over 74.5 for the Coyotes.
So Logan Cooley is for sure playing this season. They called him up already.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Oh, okay. Then I'll take the over on the points. I'm excited to see him with Clayton Keller on that first line. I think they might actually have one of the younger, exciting duos that is gonna, that people will talk about for as darlings in the future. As Nick has Nashville Predators booked, Coyotes might have a duo that might be making noise in 2 years with Clayton Keller and Logan Cooley. So I don't know. The Arizona might actually be a team you have to watch, even though they have 5,000 fans in their stadium.
5,000 fans and then a frat party afterwards.
Hell yeah. Oons, right in Logan Cooley's wheelhouse, bro. You guys got anything else for the NHL breakdown before we get into the NBA?
No, go Avs.
No.
I would say go Blackhawks, but it's gonna be rough this year. We got Bedard, baby. That's all that matters.
Nail Yakupov 2.0.
Oh, that's hurtful. That it really chaps Nevada's ass that the Blackhawks got Connor Bedard, which actually makes it that much better.
Can't wait to see him in an Avs jersey 10 years down the road.
Hey, you guys really need to knock it off. You're harshing my vibe over here.
Hey, nothing can harsh my vibe. I believe it's official. Do you believe in miracles, Nevada? The Rockies have lost 100 games for the first time in their franchise history.
I can't believe you guys are cheering for that. It's despicable.
Suck it, Marford.
Hey, why don't you focus on your team competing? All right, and let us have our victories, okay?
We're competing our way out of the playoffs, sir. Hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's no deceleration. It's just positive and negative acceleration. Change your rhetoric.
All right, so let's get into the NBA futures portion of this podcast. Oh, my goodness. I'm fucking dying. Nevada's getting me sick through the screen. We're going to go ahead and do the Southwest Division, which consists of the Memphis Grizzlies, Dallas Mavericks, New Orleans Pelicans, Houston Rockets, and San Antonio Spurs. First team up. Wow, they are the favorite to win this division? Mm-hmm. That's absolute nonsense. All right, so first team up on this is none other than the Dallas Mavericks. That's crazy. That's bonkers. What a long, strange trip it's taken Dallas to get here. The much maligned last year added Seth Curry, Dante Exum, Rashawn Holmes, Kyrie Irving, Derek Jones Jr., Markieff Morris, Dwight Powell, and Grant Williams, as well as a couple rookies that they took in the first round this year. Their odds are plus 2,200 to win it all, plus 155 for the division, minus 220 to make the playoffs, and plus 175 to not make the playoffs. The over-under is set for 45.5. Eric, go ahead.
I like some of the additions. I like some of the additions on the other rosters in this division. So I'm going to go to make the playoffs. Yes, they'll make the playoffs. And as far as their over-under, I like where it's set. So, man, this is so tough. I'm going to say under, honestly. I'm going to say under. I'm going to say they hit 44.
They're barely a 500 team. Okay. So, and you said they're not winning the division?
No, they will not win the division. No,
they will not. Okay.
No.
Nick.
Yeah, they can't be any worse than how they finished the year after the trade deadline, right?
Right.
So,
exactly.
So let's play a scenario in which the Dallas Mavericks don't blow it after the trade deadline. I think Eric is perfectly right though. This over under 45.5 is an amazing line. What'd you take, Eric?
I took the under.
It's a good one.
Give me the Mavericks to make the playoffs. I don't think they're winning the division, and over. But it's not gonna be. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be down to the wire.
Oh man, the Dallas Mavericks. I actually love what they did this offseason. I really did. I don't think it makes them the odds-on favorite for the division, which is kind of bizarre. I know the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be missing Ja Morant for a bit, and they did trade Tyus Jones, which hurts their prospects to stay afloat while he's gone. So that is pretty interesting. The New Orleans Pelicans, man, it's just the biggest what if. It's like, is Zion gonna play? Because if Zion plays, so this is interesting. I'll take Dallas Mavericks. Yeah. I will take Dallas Mavericks to make the playoffs. That was reluctant as fuck. And Jesus Christ, that's such a good line. I'll take the – hold on. I'll take the under.
Okay.
My goodness. That's scary. So hold on for this podcast. Are we considering play-in? Yes, to make the playoffs. So we're picking 10 teams, right?
Yeah, you have to win. You're picking. I was thinking you have the 8 that make it. If you make the play-in, you still have to win that game and make the playoff.
Right.
I think because this is gonna be hard, man. I should have faded some of these Pacific teams. All right, I'll stick with what I got. Next team, first place in the division last year, the Memphis Grizzlies have a plus 2,800 finals odds. That's right, to win it all, plus 2,800. To win the division, plus 160. To make the playoffs, minus 250. Plus 200 to miss the playoffs, and 45.5 over under. Identical to the Dallas Mavericks. Let me go ahead and get the additions that Memphis had this year. They got Josh Christopher in a trade from the Rockets. Desmond Bane got paid out. Derrick Rose signed a multi-year deal. I don't know how he keeps sticking around in the league. And then Marcus Smart was traded from the Celtics in a 3-team trade. And they also acquired Isaiah Todd from the Suns. Boy, oh boy, this is a very interesting team. I think Marcus Smart's on the decline, and I'm not super sold on this trade. Ja Morant's out. I'll go ahead and open up the salvo here. I'll give the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson Jr. got hurt. Steven Adams got hurt. I'm taking the under. You know what? Grizzlies ain't making the playoffs this year.
Interesting.
I mean, if they might make the play-in, but if we're doing playoffs, I don't have them making the playoffs. Any one of you, any second now, boys. I can keep filibustering.
Eric, go.
I'm actually going to mirror what Jermaine did. I'm taking under the missing John Morant. They don't have somebody who can run that offense. Even with John Morant, it's a low IQ offense. I think the coach has no control over his locker room and his players. I think he should have been fired and will be fired after this year. They don't make the playoffs, and they are under 45.5 wins. If they break 40, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, let me look at Derrick Rose real quick. But so you're bringing in a guy with John Morant, just looking at advanced statistics. You're trying to replace a guy in John Morant who contributes about 6 wins. His win share is about 6. You're trying to replace him with Derrick Rose, who contributed 0 win shares last year, and a guy in Marcus Smart who contributed 3.7 win shares last year. So you're inherently going to drop. You're inherently going to drop about 3 wins. That puts him at 48. Now, Jermaine, you said Jaren Jackson Jr. was injured. Steven Adams were injured. They're coming. They're healthy, right?
I mean, ish. They still got hurt last year. Steven Adams got hurt in February and missed the remainder of the year. And Jaren Jackson, Jaren Jackson played in the FIBA basketball World Cup, so I believe he's good for the season. That's correct.
Right. I mean, can the Grizzlies keep up their impressive home winning streak of last year? They were 35-6 at home last year. I think that was a big driver of their 51 wins. So you take those three wins away. So first of all, you're not getting John Morant to play the whole season, right? He's playing about, we'll say, 2 quarters of the season, right? So you take away 2 wins from John Morant right off the bat. You take away 3 wins because Marcus Smart is trying to replace him for those first 25 games. That's down 5 wins. I don't think they would go 35-6 at home again. I'll take the Memphis Grizzlies under. Jermaine makes a good point. Ty Jones was traded away for Marcus Smart, and they lost 2 wins in the trade. So Jones had a 5.7 win share. Marcus Smart a 3.7 win share. It just makes more of my point. I will also take the you know what, I might just I was trying to find a point to disagree with both of you, but I think I think I'm going to take the Grizz to go under. I don't think they make the playoffs, and obviously they don't win the division. I think they make the play-in game, but nothing more than that.
The Tyus Jones part of that trade is a lot bigger deal than people are talking about, and that is the primary reason why I am fading the Memphis Grizzlies this year. When John Morant went down, they had arguably the best backup point guard in all of basketball come in and run the show and generate great shots for shot makers. They don't have that anymore. Marcus Smart is not that. I love the way Marcus Smart plays basketball because he competes. And as long as you compete, I'm going to be in your wheelhouse. He is a low IQ player who thinks he is better than he is.
Ego boosted by the talent around him.
And he doesn't shoot nearly as well as he thinks he shoots. And the Memphis Grizzlies needed more shooting, and Marcus Smart is not more shooting.
Who's the one you said only had or doesn't have a left hand?
That's Jaylen Brown.
Oh, okay. All right.
Jaylen Brown has no fucking handles. I've been saying this for like 4 to 5 years, and Eric has slowly but surely kept looking at me. He's just like, bro, this dude has less than handles. Eric is so out on his handles now. It's frustrating to watch that man dribble the rock. We'll go into the very next team, the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans Pelicans finished second last year. They are plus 5,000 to win the Stanley Cup, plus 225 to win the division, minus 150 to make the playoffs, plus 120 to miss the playoffs, and 44.5 is the over-under. Let's get into some of the additions that the New Orleans Pelicans had. Let me find them real quick. Sorry, boys. They re-signed Herb Jones. They signed E.J. Liddell and Cody Zeller. Look, man, the biggest addition or the biggest subtraction is what the fuck is happening with Zion. I am of the camp that I think Zion gets it together this year to play 60 games, and that feels super generous. But when Zion Williamson is on the goddamn floor, he is truly special. Nevada, what do you have about Luka's dribbling?
So I don't know if you guys saw the clip. It was during, I guess it was camp or something like that, and they were doing these drills where they would have to throw the tennis ball up at the wall and catch it while still dribbling the basketball. And Luka was like 2 left hands. Like he'd throw the tennis ball and he'd dribble, lose it, and then lose the tennis ball, and it was just terrible. So when you guys were talking about the Jaylen Brown's dribbling inefficiencies, it just reminded me of that video with Luka. I'll see if I can pull it up for you.
See, but to that, like, no, like Luka, like in a game, he doesn't try to just dribble the shit out of it. Like he'll hold it and take a step back 3, and he's, not efficient, but he hits them from time to time. Jaylen thinks he could fucking dribble, and he'll try to take people one-on-one, or he'll try to take on triple coverage with his non-existent handles. Next thing you know, the ball's flying off his knee into the fucking third row of the stands, and he's throwing his hands up like, why isn't nobody helping me? It's like, well, because you tried to dribble into triple coverage or triple teaming, and you have no handles, brother. That's what happened.
Looking like PJ Tucker out there.
It's becoming like, it makes me not want to watch Celtics games because dude, just don't dribble. Just do what you do. Spot shoot and dunk on people. That's all you should do. Or
get better at dribbling. That is also an option.
No. These guys, once they get their checks, they don't want to get better, dude.
Not anymore. So New Orleans Pelicans, I have them winning the division. Yes, to make the playoffs, and I will take the over on the win total.
Nice.
I mean, here's the thing, right? And this is kind of the thing that I like to lean in when I'm not too sure about something. Jermaine, you talk about Zion Williamson, right? When he's on the court, he was on the court 29 games last year. The Pelicans went 17-12 in those games. In the 29 games he played, he contributed a win share of 3.6. If you put that out to an 82 game season, that's 10.7 wins that Zion contributes. Let's operate in a land where he's not Greg Oden and he doesn't and he makes some of those games. You improve the Pelicans by 10 games, and they won 42 last year. Mm-hmm. Well, you improve them by 7, right? Because he played. You improve them by 7. That's a 49 win team, and in a division like this, I think they might win. So, to your point, just adding advanced stats to your point, Jermaine, I want an NBA where Zion Williamson is playing is a good NBA, and therefore I want to see that. I'll take the over on the Pelicans wins. I'll take them to make the playoffs, and I'll take plus 225 for them to win the division.
Nice. I don't think Zion plays more than 20 games. I'm still going to take the over because they got talent, and they do not make the playoffs or win their division.
So you have the Rockets winning you're not picking the fucking Spurs. There's no way you're picking the Spurs.
I mean, we got to get to the next team.
My man's is just riding the hype train. That is absurd if you're doing that.
Anything.
All right, Houston Rockets added Dylan Brooks to a 4-year astronomical contract. They added Jeff Green on a 1-year deal, Aaron Holiday on a 1-year deal. They signed my boy Jock Landale, star of the Lakers-Clippers game that Eric and I went to, and Boban Marjanovic 1-year deal, and Fred VanVleet on a 3-year. I think he's getting paid Patrick Mahomes money. It's look, the Houston Rockets, if not anything, will be an interesting and incredibly entertaining team to watch. They added Ime Udoka, who I think is a good head coach. I don't like Jalen Green. I love Alperen Sengun. He's my guy. I hyped him up coming into the season last year, and he was looking like your wish Jokic out there. Jabari Smith is nice. Tari Eason's nice. They got talent on this team. I'm taking the over. I'm taking no to make the playoffs. I think those kids don't have the ability to swallow that ego. Talking about their guards, not necessarily their forwards. But this is going to be a fun, exciting team to watch. And their core is going to grow together. I think Fred VanVleet's a phenomenal floor general. I'm concerned with how his game is going to translate going forward. He didn't necessarily ever have the athleticism to be special at the NBA level, and it was starting to affect the efficiency of his play last year with the Toronto Raptors. I'm wondering if a new environment, a new setting, a new team, a team that actually believes in him with the amount of money they've invested changes that kind of thing. But he's definitely a point guard you want running your team. I don't like the way this team is constructed, though. I think they have a lot of lopsided pieces in one direction, and that is going to hurt them when they come against these teams that can really go into the paint and just headhunt 2-point baskets and free throws, and that'll cap them, and that's going to be the reason why they can't make the playoffs. But over 31.5 seems like a very safe bet for me.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, right? And looking at cap status, Houston is about $22 million under the luxury tax. They wanted to add they wanted to add a veteran presence, like you were saying. They got these young guards, right? Add veteran presences to this locker room to kind of coach these guys along. They added over 30 years of experience in the offseason. My question now is, did they just add guys who were good role players on teams that had established players? Because it's very easy for Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks to do what they did because they were on great teams, right? They were on great teams where they didn't have to be the guy. If you're looking at Fred VanVleet, to your point, Jermaine, Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green to be your guy in Houston, that ain't it, dog. I think they play better defense than they did last year.
They're going to compete harder for sure. That is one thing I will guarantee from this team, which is not something we could guarantee last year. My thing is who the fuck is the starting lineup?
Right. Yeah.
You didn't pay Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks to not start.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely probably not going to have a minus 8-point differential under Ime Udoka, and certainly not going to allow 118.6 points like they did last year. Boston allowed 111. If the Rockets still score at the same rate, they will still be lower than that. They scored 110.7 points per game last year. That was the lowest in the Western Conference. I think 31.5 is a great number. I think Fred VanVleet, right, last year had 6.5 win shares added. Dylan Brooks and Jeff Green account for another 3. Man, give me Houston under 31.5, but I think it's 30 or 31 wins. I think that's a big improvement, and that can show these young guys that Ime Udoka knows what's going on, and he knows how to coach. But they're years away from being where we're talking about them winning this division.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to take the Rockets to win the division. I'm going to take them to make the playoffs and the over. Ime is going to show everybody why the Boston Celtics are fucking retards. And
they
Jeff
made
Green,
the Eastern Conference Finals.
Jeff Green hasn't been on a team that didn't make the playoffs. They're going to be dirty on defense. They're going to be dogs. Dylan Brooks is an absolute animal, except for when he's running his mouth. Just shut your mouth and play ball, and we'll be okay. But in all seriousness, the reason why I'm saying this is because I mentioned last week on the podcast that I believe James Harden would end up playing for the Clippers, and Paul George would not go to Philly. It would be a 3-team trade, and I believe the Rockets are going to be the third team involved in that trade, and they're going to bring in Paul George. And I fully expect them to win the division and make the playoffs with that addition of Paul George. I mean, I could be completely off. I just had
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I just had a dream about it. It made sense. Paul George, whatever. I know Houston's probably not the place he would want to go. But Philly's in a terrible situation with James Harden. I think James Harden would love to play with Kawhi Leonard, and Ballmer's the type of guy to pull the trigger on something like that. And they are talking about blowing up the Clippers anyway if it doesn't work. So I do think, it's a wild shot. It's fucking whatever. It is what it is, but this is what I'm going with. Rockets to win the division, to make the playoffs, and to be over 31.5 wins.
All right.
To your point, Eric, Ime Udoka, whether he was an assistant coach or a coach, has never had less than, I believe it was 42 wins. 43 wins with the 2019-2020 76ers. He has never, either as a coach or head coach, assistant coach or head coach, finished outside the top 8. So that's something to look at. Now, the teams he was an assistant coach on and a coach on were the Spurs, 76ers, and Celtics. So it's not like he was bringing this team up.
Yeah, thank you. It's pretty easy to win when you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid. This team does not have that. Look, we're gonna find out if Ime is that dude. I didn't know Eric was Martin Luther and was gonna hit us with "I had a dream" and just make up some fucking shit. But all right, dude, I enjoy it. Hey, plus 4,000 to win the division. You better bet that, Eric. Here we go. So last team in this division is last year's 5th place team, San Antonio Spurs, who ended up with the number 1 overall pick. Their finals odds are plus 20,000. Their odds to win the division is 55,000. And to make the playoffs is plus 1,100. To miss the playoffs is minus 2,500. The over-under is set for 29.5. Let me just reveal the players, and then I'll give it to you, Nick. Give me 1 second. So obviously they added Victor Wembanyama. So let's go ahead and say that out the gate. They added Reggie Bullock, who gives him a nice depth wing piece who can be a 3-and-D player. They Julian Champagne returned on a 4-year deal. Trey Jones was brought back to be backup point guard again. Sandro Mamukelashvili signed a 2-year deal, and Cedi Osman and Lamar Stevens joined via trade with the Cavs and Heat. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm looking up when Tim Duncan was drafted, what the Spurs record was. 97-98. Tim Duncan was drafted. It's the wrong one. Tim Duncan played 82 games. The Spurs finished 2nd in the Midwest after finishing with 20 wins the season before. Man.
Yeah, but that team is an anomaly. David Robinson missed most of the year prior, which allowed them to secure the number 1 seed and pair Tim Duncan with the Admiral, giving them what is affectionately known as the Twin Towers.
That's essentially if Jokic got hurt last year, sat out all year, they got the number 1 pick, and then Jokic came back, and they had the number 1 pick, and it was a generational talent. Like, that's exactly what that situation would be.
Okay. I mean, you guys didn't give me a chance to say, now that's probably not the norm. But you guys just said it in better terms. I got a question for you, Jermaine or Eric. Is Wembanyama worth 7.5 wins? So the Spurs returned 14 players off their roster. So it's largely the same team. So is he worth 7.5 wins? That's all. That's the question I'm going to ask, and then I'll give you my pick.
I think with Pop, he is worth 7.5 wins. That's my honest opinion, because Pop will maximize whatever he has in him now. I know his ceiling is crazy high, but whatever he's at now, Pop will maximize it out of him.
Jermaine?
I just don't like this roster they have around him. I'm going to go with no, man.
All right, Eric, is Wembanyama good for 8 wins?
I mean, I'm going to say yes to 7.5. I'm going to say yes to 8.
I'm going to take the under 29.5. I think Jermaine makes a good point. You returned 14 players from this roster that got you what? That got you
number 1 pick.
Right, 22 wins and a number one pick. Just adding the number one pick to that doesn't all of a sudden make you this great team. And that's my question, right? Does Wembanyama give them the 8 wins that they need? Is he built for the NBA? I mean, everybody in the NBA seemed to be like, wow, this kid. Is he built to clang and bang in the NBA? I know it's not a clanging and banging league as much as it used to be.
He plays a different style as well, so I don't think the clanging and banging is going to be that much. But one thing I will say is their differential last year was 10.1.
Right.
I don't think Wembanyama offensively and defensively gets them that high out of the differential to affect their winning. I don't think that happens in an extremely competitive Western Conference. I think he can be special because he played in the EuroLeague. I really do. I still don't think it's going to translate to wins, and that is the question that we're asking right now.
Right. Well, take a team like the Portland Trailblazers, right? The Spurs had generally the same points per game as they did, but the Trailblazers had 6 less opponents' points per game. The Portland Trailblazers only won 33 games last year.
Yeah. With a seasoned Dame, with Anthony Simons, Yusuf Nurkic, like they have, Jeremy Grant, they have players on that team. Look, I don't think it's going to translate to wins this year, but I think his sophomore year, I'm taking the over on that. So give me the under for the Spurs on this one. I will. If I'm wrong, I'll happily be wrong. I'll take the under and then no to make the playoffs.
Yeah, no to make the playoffs. And I think they win 29 games exactly. So I'm going to take the under.
Bro, it's a really great line also. Like, that's the thing that, like Vegas knows what the fuck they're doing. That's a great line. Nick, did you already say yours? I must have missed it.
I'm going no. No's across the board and then under.
Okay, sweet. All right, so that wraps up our Southwest Division. I have the New Orleans Pelicans winning. Martin Luther has the Houston Rockets winning, and
Martin Luther King. Remember, he's not doing a 90. He's not doing his 99 thesis.
And Nick also took the Pelicans to win this division. This division could finish the complete opposite direction. Like, that is how crazy this division is. And, like as Eric alluded to, picking these futures is crazy, especially with the way trades happen. We could wake up tomorrow and Dame Lillard's a Spur. So, that's a very real thing that could happen. Thanks for joining us for the NHL Centrals, NBA Southwest. You guys got anything else for the 10s and 10s?
No, thank God for NyQuil.
Brought to you by our non-sponsored sponsor, NyQuil.
All right. For myself, you said Blue Chew. For myself, Jermaine Mendes. For my co-host, Nicholas Moorhan. For EPE and Nutty Putty. We'll see you next time when you come on down and step into the room.